thing. All right. Okay, well, let's get started. Does that sound good, Lauren? We ready?
Sounds great.
All right. Okay. So like I said, before I hit record, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat if you want to introduce who you're with, whoever you want to represent today. And I see some have already started. But anyway, welcome to the Wake Green Schools webinar on Watershed Wisdom. The Wake Green Schools Partnership is a collaborative of teachers and community partners, school administrators from Wake County who work together to encourage school sustainability and environmental literacy efforts. So this is the second of our Green Schools Toolbox series this year. And today with my colleague Lauren, who I'll introduce in a minute, we'll be sharing resources for educators to use to teach about water. And Lauren and I were fortunate to be on the team that helped create this watershed lesson that we're going to talk about today. So we're a little partial to it, but we hope you will be too after hearing this. So just before I get any further, I do want to give a shout out to, I see at least a couple more members of the Wake Green Schools Partnership on the webinar. I see Laura Wood. Do you want to unmute and give a hey and say where you're from?
I would love to. Thank you. My name is Laura Wood, and I'm the Environmental Connections Integration Specialist at Lincoln Heights Environmental Connections Magnet Elementary School in Fuquay-Varina in Wake County. And I also wanted to just quickly mention that we had a webinar last month that I was one of the hosts for. And we'll give you information about where to access that webinar if you're interested. It was all about getting outdoors and tying in with Taco Week or Take a Child Outside Week. So we do have a lot of folks here that might be interested maybe in some of the resources that we shared. So I do want to make sure that we get that information out to you as well.
That would be great. And I'm going to give you an assignment, Laura. If you could pull up the link to the recording for that and share it at some point, that would be awesome.
I will just drop it right in the chat.
Yay. Okay. And then the other, thank you, Laura. And then the other partnership member that I saw was Sheila Jones. Do you want to unmute and introduce yourself for a second?
Yes, and I'm trying to start my video and it's fighting me. Okay, there I am. Okay, yes, my name is Sheila Jones. I'm with the Wake Soil and Water Conservation District in Raleigh, and I am a very excited and proud member of the Wake Green Schools Partnership. And I think every single county should have one of these and just rock it across the state. And I think that's our ultimate goal. Is that right, Christy, Lauren, and Laura?
Yeah, I would love to hear if other people are interested in bringing a green school partnership to their area, for sure.
Yes.
Thank you, Sheila. Is there anyone else from our Wake Green Schools Partnership Planning team that I'm missing? Because I can't see everybody at once. Okay, I gave the few seconds to let people chime in, so we'll move on. Okay, so quickly, I'll introduce myself. I'm Christy Perrin, the Sustainable Waters and Communities Coordinator with Water Resource Research Institute and North Carolina Sea Grant. And as I mentioned, I was on the team that helped create this particular lesson plan. And my co-producer, presenter today is Lauren Daniel. Lauren, want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you. My name's Lauren Daniel still, and I work for DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality. I'm housed in the Division of Water Resources. And several of y'all I am lucky enough to get to work with. So it's great to see some familiar names here. And thank you all for being with us here this afternoon. And we look forward to sharing these water education activities with you as we move forward into the next hour. So thank you again.
Great, thanks, Lauren. Okay, so as we mentioned, we're going to be sharing the Watershed Wisdom lesson plan that's on PBS Learning Media online. So it's free. You just need to have an account, a free account created to use it. It is, let's see, I'm going to drop it in the chat real quick. Oops, hold on, everybody. Okay, so I just dropped the link in the chat. So in a nutshell, if you use the whole lesson, students will be able to define and describe the water cycle, watershed ecosystems, discuss the threats that watershed ecosystems face, and describe actions that people can take to protect and promote watershed health. So it aligns. Oh, you know what? We have a Google slide set I should share. Hold on. Let's share this. Are you seeing my Watershed Wisdom slide set, Lauren?
No, I'm seeing your cute son.
I shared the wrong screen. Okay, it's okay. We always include fudge time on this.
It's funny how it's like the first time every time for me.
I know, right?
Okay, perfect.
It's not a Zoom unless something goes wrong. Okay. So there's our slide. And I will jump back to our objectives, which we should have started with. But by the end of the hour, we hope you'll be confident teaching a few activities you can use with students, comfortable using the Watershed Wisdom site and navigating around that site so you can access whatever you want, and inspired to teach about water. So let's get to this. So this lesson plan. So here is the short version of the website. If you are watching this recording later, to find it, you would go to this website, pbslearningmedia.org, and search Watershed Wisdom, and it will come up. And the pictures you're seeing there are from an introductory animation that is in the lesson plan. So the lesson plan aligns with North Carolina Essential Standards for 4th and 5th grade science. There's enough activities to take you through 2 weeks of class time if you choose to, or you can pick and choose to do whichever ones you want to supplement your existing curriculum. So it's a mix of activities, as you'll see, that can be completed in a classroom, outside on your school campus, and online. So we are going to share a sampling of these activities. The activities align with a 5E interactive model, and those of you who are teachers probably can explain what this is, but real quickly, the 5Es are engage, explore, explain. Well, here it's elaborate. I think in ours it is evaluate and extend. So there's a couple different ways to see it. But anyway, we are going to share just one activity today from each, actually maybe two from one of them. But anyway, we're going to go through each of the E's, and we're going to share at least one activity from each of the E's that we think are fun and easy without a lot of explanation. You can get out there and do these. Some of the others you might need to do a little bit more preparation for, but they're all pretty great. So you'll see the ones that are highlighted here are the ones that Lauren and I are going to talk about. Let's see. Yeah, I think that is it for the introduction, Lauren. I think we're going to go to you. And do you need me to stop sharing? I think I'll stop sharing because you don't, or actually no, let's go to the first one.
Yeah, and then I'll tell you when to take it off, and I'm going to take off my background too real quick. I love this background, but I am about to model something for you.
Okay, just Something we didn't talk about earlier, but I think it might be good for me to stop sharing the screen when you're doing your modeling, just for the recording. I think that'll make you look bigger on the screen.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
So are we ready to get into the demo? All right, so some of y'all might be familiar with this activity. In the PBS Watershed Wisdom unit that we're going over now, Watershed is the title of this activity I'm about to model for you, but you might be familiar with it if you've been trained in Project WET before. It's another activity in Project WET as well. So here's what I'm going to do, and I have my materials here ready, and I'm going to kind of present this to you as if, you know, if you were to take this into your class tomorrow. Let's say tomorrow you're talking about watersheds. The objective of this activity is to basically give your students an experience of creating and modeling an actual watershed. You might be familiar with Enviroscapes and other like more formal tools to help show what a watershed is. But I like this activity because you can grab just things in your kitchen or at the dollar store, Dollar General, one of my favorite go-tos when I'm collecting activity materials. But basically, ask your students what they know about a watershed. So there's 28 friends in here. If you want to share in the chat, how would you define a watershed using your own words? I'll give you a second to formulate something. And if someone wants to be brave and maybe unmute, what is a watershed? Go for it. Oh, y'all weren't expecting to be put on the spot. Oh, Laura, awesome. All the water that flows from one area into a river. That's great. An area of land that drains to one common point. Perfect, Frank. Yeah. An area of land where all the water flows to a particular body of water. See, these are great. And they are all basically saying the same thing, but everyone is coming up with their own language for it. And I'm seeing a lot of drainage, flowing, a common body of water. This is great. Y'all studied. Carmela and Jody, excellent. So let's model the watershed. So I have these materials. I have a little, I think this was from something I tried to cook. Didn't go too far. And then I have some wax paper here. And then all I need is some water-based markers. Oh man, I gotta change the view here. See if I can do it this way. Okay. Can you, Christy, just tell me if you can't see what I'm doing, okay?
Got it.
Okay, I'm gonna pull my screen down. And oh, Christy, is it possible to spotlight me so that, just in case? I don't know if people can see it.
You mean like pin you?
Yeah, like pin my screen to be, I don't know.
I should be able to. Hold on. Okay.
But hopefully you can see the dish here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give my students, I usually do this in table groups. So like 3-4 students tops. And I'll give them a little piece of wax paper here. And I'll ask them to whisper crumble the paper. Because if you don't give any guidelines, they're gonna turn this wax paper into a tissue. So just tell them to crumble it maybe one time and create a landform, okay? So, and if y'all have done this activity, I know several of y'all might have done a similar activity, feel free to drop into the chat something that you have done to supplement this activity as well, because this is a great activity to get students familiar with understanding watersheds and how water moves on the Earth's surface. So as you can see, I have whisper crumbled this wax paper, and I've made a little model of a landform. And I have some mountains and valleys going on here. And if I had my map of the state of North Carolina behind me, we could definitely talk about how these landforms differ across the state. But in general, we see changes in slope, changes in our elevation anywhere we are in our whole state, but obviously the coast is going to be a little flatter, but it still has changes in elevation. So once the students have created their landform, we're going to turn this into a watershed because we're going to talk about how the water flows on this landform. So what I like to do is ask the students, you can do this many different ways. Yeah, perfect, Christy, thank you. So I ask students to use one color to highlight the ridge lines of these landforms here. So what's a ridge line? A ridge line, for this sake right here, is just the highest point where the water is going to hit on this landform. And at that point, it's either going to drop this way or go down this part of the slope. So I'm just coloring it up, all the ridge lines of all the landforms. And then I'll give students maybe 3 colors tops here, because it'll just get out of whack if you give them a whole bunch of colors. But then with another color, have another student make a hypothesis or predict where water might gather or collect. So the students always enjoy going through and having a conversation about where the water might collect, where it might flow, and making hypotheses, okay? So let's see, let me get a little more ink on here. I also recommend you give them a good amount of time to make, get some ink on the wax paper, okay? Check the chat. Jody says parchment paper makes it easier for the kids to see the color. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's another thing is right now, it doesn't look very exciting, but you just wait, y'all, if you haven't seen this done before, because the water really does make it come alive.
Yeah, and that's the difference with the parchment and the wax paper. Like I've used just paper, regular paper with adults, and it's fine. But if you want to use the water with it, then you might need something that's not gonna sag.
Exactly. All right, so for the sake of time here, okay, I'm going to now that the students have colored on the wax paper and made their predictions about where the water will flow, you can do this many different ways, but it depends on your classroom management style. I like to give the students a spray bottle and with water and let them make it rain. But sometimes you might want to just go around and spray it yourself. It keeps it a little more controlled. But sure enough, you start spraying the watershed and you'll see, can you see it, Christy? I hope it comes to life.
Yeah, we couldn't see the marker very well until you started spraying it, but now it's really showing up.
I don't realize how loud my spray bottle is until I have a live on-air webinar here. But you see how the water is actually picking up the ink and carrying it throughout the watershed. So I'll ask students, what do you notice? So does anyone want to share in the chat or unmute what they're noticing about how the water is flowing or draining through this watershed? And while I'm thinking, oh, thank you, Mike. Yeah.
It says it looks great, it accumulates.
So sure enough, the water has fallen just like it would in a rain event, and it has hit the land, and it will roll down through the path of least resistance. Sometimes you can ask students to, make a rule for how the water flows or something like that. And they will generally come up with a rule that the water flows in a way that is not restricted. It'll flow whatever that path might be. Another way to do this watershed demo is if you have students like in larger groups, you can give them multiple pieces of wax paper, and then kind of put them all in the same pan and have that watershed modeled just with more going on, or with multiple watersheds in it. Yeah, and so that's the demonstration for this activity. How am I doing on time, Christy?
Let's see, it's 4:37. You're
So let's-
doing well.
okay. Let's shift
We-
gears. Oh,
We have
sorry.
just a couple comments. We have some folks who've done this before. Add a little food color to the water bottle and it really pops, says Carmela.
Oh,
And
that's a great
separating the blue from the pink shows different watersheds. You've got some comments and tips.
I tell you what, Carmela, that is a great idea. I've never tried that before. It sounds like it could stain some clothes, but I think that's a great idea for for larger groups that might have trouble seeing in particular. So thanks for all of these great comments in the chat. I love reading through them, but we're gonna shift gears and go on to the next activity. Sound good? Uh-oh, can't hear you, Christy.
I'm muted. I am going to share the direct link to the handout that goes with that activity in case
Okay.
people don't want to go looking for it. So there it is. That should take you there. You might have to have an account with PBS Learning Media, but it should take you directly there. Okay, onward. Do you want me to?
Christy, if you just put something in the chat, I'm not quite seeing it. Did you put it in the chat?
Oops. Yeah, and I sent it directly to Bianca for some reason. Hey, Bianca.
And
Now it's to everybody.
oh,
There we
perfect.
go.
Thank you. Oh, great. All right. So now if you want to go back to sharing the screen and pull up the slide for our bingo hunt, we're going to, this is where this webinar is going to shift gears into being very interactive. So by choice, if you want it to be, let me back up. If you want to just continue hanging out, you may. But for the next activity we're going to demo for you, included in this Watershed Wisdom is this activity called Hunt for H2O, bingo. Now we're all familiar with bingo, and many of us teachers have used bingo in the classroom for multiple, topics and vocabulary enrichment. But this is going to be slightly different because not only are we asking the students to fill in their bingo card with water-based vocabulary, we are going to encourage these students to go outside and look for these vocabulary terms as well. So how do we make this interactive on a webinar? Well, we want to invite you all to go outside and try to snap a picture right now. This has never before been done with this activity. This is a groundbreaking, we're gonna give it a shot. So Christy, wait, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself here. I want to clarify. The objective for this activity is for students to explore the vocabulary by finding examples around their home or campus. So this is some of the vocabulary. The sheet on the right side of your screen, the bingo sheet, that has all the vocabulary on it. You can obviously, switch it up if you're doing this for younger students and you have other vocabulary terms you want to incorporate it as an alternative. This is all made to be modified. But for our purposes now is we want to invite you to go outside. So here's our crazy plan. Christy, if you could go to the next slide, please. So here are our vocabulary terms. I'm going to give you just a second, and I want you to look at these terms and kind of process them. And then in a second, we're going to give you about 3 minutes to see if you can go outside and find an example of any of these terms. Grab your cell phone, take a picture of it. And then when you come back in, we're going to ask you, we're going to see if this will work, but we're going to invite you to hold your image up to the camera and see if we can see it. I'm hoping we can. You think it's crazy enough to work? I'm hoping this will work, y'all, because I'd love to see if you can find any of these vocabulary terms. So let's give it a shot. You want to try? I can't see y'all's faces, so I'm hoping y'all aren't throwing anything at me through the screen. But I want to encourage y'all to run outside. We'll start the timer for 3 minutes and pick a word or two that you see on this screen and see if you can run outside and snap a picture of it. Okay? All right. I haven't
Go
got,
ahead.
okay.
And we're going to take, did you set a timer?
I am setting a timer. Yes.
Okay. So for those of you who live in a high-rise apartment building or office building and it's not practical, we're gonna chat for a minute here. Or if you're watching the recording, well, I guess if you're watching the recording, you're definitely welcome to do it as well. But
if you're watching the recording, there we go. Perfect. So for those of you who are sticking around and are not going outside to snap a picture of water vocabulary, we want to invite you to look at these images here. And so some of the vocabulary that we had up on the screen were things like vegetative cover and water and grass and other things. What are some aspects of these images that you see here that might have something to do with the water, the bodies of water that are flowing through them? You can put it in the chat or unmute. But what do you notice in these images?
yeah, maybe nobody's left, but I definitely I definitely see water in these.
There's definitely streams in these pictures, and there's features going on in and around these streams.
Okay, we've got some comments coming in. We hear Julie said she sees habitat.
Jody sees rocks and flowing water. I love that you pointed out that there are rocks, or I've called them, cobblestones before, but these rocks indicate on the left side of the screen, these rocks, they might indicate some habitat, right? So some macroinvertebrates might be able to live underneath these rocks. These rocks might provide coverage. Whoops. Oh, Christy, sorry.
Oh, did I switch it? Sorry. You know what I was doing? I was trying to multitask.
You're multitasking. No, and that's totally fine. But I
was going to send them the link to this activity, but I'll wait until after we stop sharing. Which makes sense.
I'm sorry. That's all good. So another great aspect of rocks that people don't think of right away is the rocks help the flow of the water. The rocks might help the flow from becoming too fast, right? So those rocks are there serving a function in a lot of cases. And then on the right side of our screen, with this image of the stream, you'll notice that there's exposed rocks on one side and there's vegetation on the other side. So that tells us, there goes our 3 minutes. But that might give us an indication of how the water is flowing in that stream. The water might be coming through that stream in high rain events, and kind of scouring out the side of that stream. So no matter what you look for, there are ways to determine the stream's health just by looking around that stream. So as we're all coming back in, thanks to those of you who went out and went looking for water vocabulary. I want to make sure I'm seeing everything in the chat. One has vegetation on the bank and one does not. Yeah, Sarah, great observation. We always love the vegetation on the side of those banks for riparian buffers to help process that water. Nice natural area from Carmela stream and rocks and flowing water. Excellent. Yes. And then here we have a couple other images of things. I wanted to have images to incorporate a lot of those words from the vocabulary hunt. And I think litter was definitely one of those terms. So that image on the right has that. Mike Collins says he found sediment and exposed roots in drainage. Yes, and what do exposed roots tell us about how the water is flowing? Huge surface area and drain areas, more than creeks or streams. But
we always focus on the streams, the visible water, the water bodies, but we never talk about the drainage, which is the majority of the area of the watersheds.
Excellent. Yeah, great point. Thank you. And seeing those exposed roots are definitely also giving us a clue for how that water is draining into that stream, because the water will pick up that sediment and expose those roots. So this is great. All right, so Christy, can I ask you, to maybe stop sharing your screen and let's see if we can go back to the gallery view. And this is the moment of truth, y'all. So if you went outside and snapped a picture of one of these vocabulary terms, can you show it? Can you pull up your video? Keisha, yay! Jody, oh, Jody, I can't, oh, is that a storm drain or impervious surface? Hillary Harrison, oh, drainage. I think that you took a picture of drainage or gutters. Caroline and her storm drain.
Is that a
Great.
butterfly? Is that wildlife? Woo.
Susan, oh, Susan, is that grass? That's the vegetative cover. I can't quite see. But this is awesome. Y'all did it. That's so cool. Let's
A
see.
little sunshine.
Keisha and okay, so I'm seeing a lot of storm drains, and stormwater is such a great topic to talk about with kids of all ages because they've all seen storm drains. I know my 6-year-old, he used to be afraid to walk on top of them, and but those are great teachable moments. You know what is the function of that storm drain? And then a lot of times, y'all, you can stand over the storm drain and see the pipes under it, and a lot of times those pipes are leading straight into a stream. So a common misconception is those storm drains filter the water somehow, but usually they are straight pipes right into streams. Sarah's showing her gutter. That's awesome.
Oh
Great.
yeah, the gutter. And Laura has another bingo sheet that she wanted to share from the Clean Water Education Partnership. Similar. So go ahead, Laura. Are you going to share a link or? Oh, she's going to show it. Okay.
Oh,
Laura's
Laura,
got pictures.
put up to the screen.
Yep. So this is from Hannah Bard and Caroline, who are the local stormwater folks that I love to talk with. And they are going to come out and be a guest speaker for us to talk about stormwater runoff. And so this is a clearly lower age group where it has the pictures. But I love this, and we're going to do a tour and let the kids go around and see what they find on our school campus. And then on the back are vocabulary with definitions for those stormwater terms. So always reach out to your Clean Water Education Partnership, and I'll give a plug for anybody there for this awesome resource. I don't own this. I don't have this. Hannah and Caroline are the owners, and then QUIP, the Clean Water Education Partnership. But you were talking about the bingo, and I was like, oh, I have a kid-friendly version for lower grades that I wanted to share. So thank you.
Awesome. And that's great segue, Laura, because our friends over at QUEP, Clean Water Education Partnership, they offer so many great resources. So Caroline put her email in the chat box. So if anyone wants to reach out to Caroline and Hannah, they are rock stars, especially when it comes to water education.
Yeah, and that's a TJ Council of Governments, which does cover Wake County for those of you Wake County teachers who watch this later. So they are resources for you, part of our partnership.
That's awesome. So thank you for that. I want to keep things moving because we're at 4:51, but I'm going to chalk that activity up to being a successful virtual activity. I like seeing everyone's images. And I was trying to see if the trees were changing out in the mountains, but I'll have to reach out to y'all directly to hear how that's going. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is get into, there's Sweet Donovan. If we can get to the video, I was going to introduce it. So the last thing I'm going to share with you is,
There we go.
My slides.
But there's water in that picture I keep showing you by accident, so that counts.
Yeah, it's awesome. So the last one I'm going to talk about is the Healthy Natural Environments activity. It's similar to another Project WET activity, but basically we're going to experience what it's like students will model how water flows in a watershed with a whole body activity. So when we're talking about watersheds and how the water drains on in our community, taking the students outside and allowing them to pass beads back and forth, they will create a main stem of a river. And you just have them stand, well, you know, once things are not so pandemic-y, when we get back to normal, we'll go outside and have the students stand a good arm's length apart or so. And one modification to this activity could be to give all the students maybe a paper cup or something so they can pass the beads in the cup instead of passing the beads from one hand to the next. But basically, you have them create a main stem like a river, and then you have some other students kind of create the tributaries to that main stem. So you'll have the whole class creating a model of a river. And then when you say go, we're going to see it on the video, but the students will pass the beads to model different weather events. Okay, so we're going to watch this quick video. Christy, you don't have to show the whole thing, but take it away.
Got it. Here you can see, can you see yourself pre-pandemic here?
Yes, I see myself pre-pandemic here.
Okay.
Look how short my hair
This
was.
is a pre-pandemic filming, so all these hands touching each other, don't go you. This was
Don't do that.
Okay. Here we go.
Guess what? I just tuned in to the local TV station and the meteorologist said we got storms coming. So this time, Headwaters, how are you going to pick it up some? Are you going to go a little faster? Yeah, and it's heavy rain. I'll go a good bit faster. We can do 2 at a time this round. If someone drops a bead, that's okay. The river flooded, that's okay. If you have time to reach down and pick it up, you may. But remember, if you are bending down to pick up that bead, you might be having another one passed to you. So that might flood as well. It might have to be dropped as well. All right, get ready. Here we go. Ready. Begin. It's a thunderstorm, so go ahead and pass them 2 at a time. Keep it going. Oh no, we've got some beads. We got some flooding. There's flooding. But this is a rainstorm. We're getting a good bit of rain. All right, stop. Hands up. But what did you notice just then? How did things change? Yes. We're definitely having to act a little faster there. Just like a river, that has to handle a lot more rainfall, okay? So raise your hand if you dropped more beads that go around. Did we model flooding a little more during that storm? Especially Crabtree Creek, friends. Did y'all see a little more flooding over there? Yeah, that's true. And
Perfect. Thanks, Christy. So that activity is wonderful, and Jody has wonderful modification ideas in the chat. So thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Let's hear some of those. Okay, let's see. She does something similar with 4 to 5 students being storm drains, and they have an envelope with dog poop pictures, fertilizer pictures, etc. They empty into the river when it rains. Awesome. Talk about
So
what
another
happens.
way we do it also is we divide the kids in half, and one stream gets only it's a few things, and the other stream gets lots of things that come down their storm drain, and we look at the 2 differences, and then we look at what happens. You know, if you have more than 5 fertilizers, this is what happens to your body of water, or if you have soap, this is what happens to the things that are living in your body of water. And so the kids have to figure those things out as well.
That is
Very cool.
a great idea, Jody. And I just like the idea of having 2 separate streams to compare with pollutants and without pollutants. And what a great idea. Thank you for sharing.
I can share my email if people would like to have a copy of what we've put out.
Sure.
Sure. Go ahead and drop that in the chat, Jody.
The other thing I just put in there too is that I use bottle caps instead of beads because they're a lot easier to pick up and find.
Right. I have heard of, I think from now on, I'm going to be using Cheerios, but I've heard people use ping pong balls also, but it sounds a little pricey. But yeah,
Cheerios are good outside.
yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. All right, Christy.
Thank you, Lauren. Some fun activities, and we I don't know if you can see Frank Graff in this picture. He's with, I guess that it's NC Sci still. He does all those great science videos on UNC, well, PBS North Carolina now, right? They've changed what they're called. But we wanted to film this as well as there's a Watershed film as well to demonstrate these, particularly getting kids outside to show, yeah, it's not impossible. It can be done. And particularly, I know people are trying really hard right now to get their kids outside. So this was Krista Brinchek's classroom at Abbott's Creek Elementary School. Okay, so Lauren shared with us, and
Guess
whoops,
what?
here we go. An engage activity with the watershed, two explore activities, the bingo and the healthy natural environments. And now I'm going to get into, let's see, this one is for explain. Okay, and this is our main explain activity in the Watershed Wisdom lesson plan. And this one is an interactive online activity. So we said there was a mix of things you could do in the classroom and outside, and this one is one that can be done online. And the purpose is to learn about the water cycle, the ways in which watersheds relate to healthy water, and ways to manage local watersheds. So for this one, you do have to go to the Watershed Wisdom website. Now, Lauren, I'm going to ask you, do you see? Okay, so you're navigating with me. All right, good. So this is what you see when you go to that website. I'm just going to give you a quick overview before we move on to the ways of watersheds. We haven't been here yet in this recording. All of those lessons that we've talked about are listed under procedures and with the links of all the activities. So if we forget to drop a link in the chat, or we can't multitask to do it like I can't right now.
Got it.
You got it. They're all here, okay? And the videos, just real quickly, the video that we just showed you, if you scroll down to the overview and scroll down, go to the overview and scroll down to the bottom, there are 6 video clips here. 2 are about the watershed. 3 are about the healthy natural environments that you just saw, including the clip you just saw. And then at the bottom, there's Krista Brinchek talking about the importance of teaching students, elementary students, about water and watersheds. So there's some great tools to use. But we're going to go to the ways of watersheds so I can show you how that works. Down here for explain. That's going to take you to a separate tab. That looks like this. Okay. And you will click it to launch it. Oh, and just quickly, you can share it to a Google Classroom to assign it, or you can demonstrate it as like a teacher in front of the classroom. Although one thing that I did discover as I was going through this once again was that when I conducted the quizzes that are in this, once you submit your answers, they don't let you do the quiz again. So if you're a teacher, you might want to keep that in mind and don't hit submit after the end of going through. So we're going to go ahead and launch this. And you'll get the introductory page, and then you'll go right in, and there's an introductory video, and the videos are really top notch. We've got PBS North Carolina created these. So there's this great introductory video about thinking about water and how you interact with it and thinking about it in a way maybe you've never thought about it before. And then on each page, there's a place for notes. So kids can take notes if they're doing this on their own, or adults. Adults can go through and do this too. There is vocabulary, and they're little animated pieces from the video to demonstrate the vocabulary words. So Once you get through that, you get to the animations. So this is based on 3 animations, and after each animation, there's a formative evaluation, so a little quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and just play the first one for you, and hopefully the sound is still working here. So I want to see, Lauren, I can see your face.
This water molecule
Thumbs
may
up
not
if you
look
can
like
hear it.
much, but
Okay. And then I just stopped it.
it's been around the world and back again in a process called the water cycle. The water cycle has 2 main parts. Water goes up, water comes down, but it happens in ways slightly more complicated than that. First, the up part. Heat from the sun causes the liquid water in our ponds, lakes, oceans, glasses of lemonade, and even sweat to turn into a gas and rise into the atmosphere through a process called evaporation. Plants play a part too. Water released through tiny holes in their leaves, a process called transpiration, also evaporates into the atmosphere. Once up in Earth's atmosphere, gaseous water eventually loses energy and condenses back together as clouds. Then comes the down part. When this water gets heavy enough, gravity takes charge and it falls back down as snow, sleet, rain, or fog into lakes, oceans, and onto land. And the water cycle begins again. So next time you have that glass of lemonade, just imagine where that water has been.
Okay, so I just realized, Lauren, that I think I pinned you, so I'm gonna try to, there, no, okay, we're good, we're good. Anyway, so that is just one of the videos, animations that are in here. And since I actually went through and took the quiz and submitted my answers, and that's how I discovered that once you do it, you, you can't do it again. So I'm gonna drop in the poll the first question from the evaluation, so you can just get a taste of what the questions look like. Can you see them? Yeah, okay, good. So go ahead and answer it if you can. Is it, okay, yeah, I see some answers starting. Okay, so anyone else want to answer? All right. Okay, I'm ending it and sharing the results. So gaseous water cools down, becomes water droplets in a process called condensation, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a not easy question.
I know, right? Right. But one of the things is that it's kind of cool. Along the way, you can encourage your students to take notes, because you can, like right after reading the vocabulary, you can go down and there's questions about the vocabulary. So you're reinforcing it as you go along. So I am not going to go through this whole thing, but it's kind of fun. So I encourage you to do it. And I'm going to swing back to our presentation here. Our next E is a call to action. So it is the evaluate. So demonstrating what students have learned. And you know what, I just see this, I believe this picture came from Fuller Elementary. I meant to credit it. Sheila Jones, you might know, because I think it's from Wake County. This is just a demonstration of Soil and Water Conservation District's annual poster contest as a way to show what they've learned. But anyway, basically the call to action is to ask students to create visual or written calls to action. either through posters, letters, picket signs, drawings with captions to demonstrate their understanding of water-related problems that have been addressed through the lesson. One thing I should mention, in the list of activities that we have, there is a culminating explain activity, and there's a worksheet that goes along with that where the teachers can actually ask students to identify problems that they've learned so far and then come up with some solutions. So I would probably do that first before asking them to do this call to action, just so they can get their thinking out on paper, but then take it the next step. What is the call to action? What is the problem and the solution that you want to apply to that problem? And then another extension to that would be to ask them to become watershed mentors. And then share their calls to actions with either younger students or their families. Families are a good way to start. That's one of the things we had hoped to encourage with this lesson, is to have students bring home what they've learned to their families. And there's actually another activity called the Water Reporter, which we didn't go into today, but I suggest looking at that one as an activity to bring home to family as well. Okay, well, anyway, if you happen to have your students do a call to action, we'd love to see what that is and hear about it. So you're welcome to drop us an email, which we will drop in the chat. I think, has anyone had any questions in the chat, Lauren? I haven't had a chance to look there.
Yeah, Jody asked if, can you see if you're right or wrong if you do not submit? And I don't think you can see if you're right or wrong unless you submit it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you have to submit it to find out if you're right or wrong. Actually, I had in my notes after looking at this to send an email off to our friends at PBS North Carolina and see if that's something that they're able to fix, because they can sometimes go online and make tweaks. So I think it'd be great if people could do the quiz more than once. So, okay. So I'm going to move on. That one was a quick one. And then the final activity that we're going to share is our Extend. And this one is called the Young Activist Activity, with the objective that students will learn about global challenges people face accessing clean drinking water, the impacts on children of those challenges, and then youth water activist contributions to water equity. So in this one, our PBS North Carolina friends have created a newspaper article. And I don't know, I can't see myself, so I don't know if you can see it or not. This is another link that I can drop in the chat, but you can also access it in our PBS Learning Media Online. So basically, this talks about how there's many places in our country, as well as others, where people do not have access to clean water. So the activity allows students to take a closer look at those areas, as well as children who are working hard to make a change. So I might ask my class to read this out loud, maybe take turns reading the paragraphs. So let me see if I have it up. I think I have it up here. Okay, I'm just going to jump around. This is so you can see what it looks like when you click on the link. Maybe I'll share the link. Is this it? That's the student handout. Okay, never mind. Anyway, so for example, recognizing that there really isn't a drop to spare, youth activists around the world are working to make clean water accessible to those who in need. So they talk about Autumn Peltier, who's in Canada, talking about how and why Indigenous communities in her home country of Canada lack clean drinking water. And she's advocated for clean drinking water for Indigenous communities in Canada. They talk about kids from the United States and from Kenya, and a number of other places. So it's a great introduction to people, young people who are working to make a change. An extension of this activity would be to ask students to do some research on their own about youth activists. And if they were to do so, I went ahead and did this myself just to see what I would come up with. They might find other people. So does anyone have an idea of who was getting on the world stage for climate change in 2019? It was right as we were finishing this lesson, so we didn't include her in this. Thank you for putting the chat. I will, I'll show you some of the people I came up with. Remember her? Greta Thunberg. And so I just have to say this real quickly. I've just kind of dug into some of this research myself because I was really interested to see what kind of youth activists I'd come up with. And somebody recently made a comment in an article, I think that came out today, about how to improve your climate impact. And they said, can you imagine if Greta Thunberg had just decided to use less water or to quit drinking dairy instead of what she chose to do? And basically she chose to use her voice, right? So, and imagine the impact she's had by doing that. So this activity is to show students their voice matters and that they can be inspired to do something, even if it's sharing with their own family. Another person I came across is Mary Copany from Flint, Michigan. She was 8 years old when she started, I think she started by writing a letter to President Obama about the drinking water problems in Flint, Michigan. So she's still an advocate today. So anyway, that wraps up our activities, and we just have a couple minutes left, maybe a minute or so left. If you had any other questions, otherwise, we would love to hear if you use any of these activities. We encourage you to use at least one with your audience, and let us know how it goes. Lauren, you want to say anything?
Yeah, sorry. I was just typing my email address in the chat. If anyone wants to share, just anecdotes about using this this new learning tool available through PBS NC. Also, and on Twitter, look how hip I am at Project Wet NC. I'm trying to be as active as I can be on there, but tag us on Twitter and we'd love to see what you're up to in your water education.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for attending and joining us today.
Oh, yeah. Audrey and I just did a program with 5th graders, Hillary said. Tomorrow at a local school, we are working with 4th graders. Tomorrow, we are talking about watersheds with them this week. Nice. And intended teachers, the Watered Watershed activity. Hillary gets
Wonderful.
the gold star. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And there's another, there might be more webinars coming. So
Yeah, stay tuned.
stay tuned. All right, I'm going to stop recording.
Have a great
Bye.
afternoon, everyone.
Have a great day.